So this is the last episode of season one, and with that in mind, I'm joined by Death himself, La Muerte, Marzana, Hela, Schmirch. And wow, I gotta say, you, my friend, you look like...
Death? Oh, how original. And I feel like it too.
Well, I was gonna say you look like a girl, or you look like Sweeney Todd, but yeah, either way, you're not looking too good. So, how are things in your line of work in these uncertain times?
Grim.
Well, that's a given. Anything else?
If I am being totally honest with you, I am stressed out of my mind. It is hard to maintain a cool, collected image with so many souls just springing out of the woodworks. My hair's starting to turn white.
Oh, geez, I thought you'd be having a field day in this year. In this case, just a field year.
Oh, well, my job is not like you'd expect. I'm not just running around harvesting souls left and right with reckless abandon, okay?
Okay, well, if you're not the one calling the shots, then who is?
Okay, first off, let's make it clear. Everyone has a clock etched into their soul. It begins ticking down the moment they're born, telling me of when they would die of supernatural causes specific to them. That can change for the better or the worse depending on how they choose to live their life. Are they become a chain smoker? Clock goes down. Do they solve their anger issues and lower their blood pressure? Clock goes up. Do they think that the Emoji Movie is credible in any sense of the word? Clock goes way down, okay? And once they reach zero, that's my cue to come in and escort them to the next phase.
Well, that's some new information. I was led to believe that it was you who decided who lives or dies.
Oh, no. The big man upstairs sets everyone's natural clocks for me. It is completely up to them how they choose to treat it afterwards. You know, this whole process is kind of like cooking.
Wait. Pause for a moment. You mean to tell me that God is Gordon Ramsay?
Oh, well, yes, but actually, no. Look at it this way. The soul is the food.
Hence where soul food comes from.
Oh, haha, very funny. We got a jokester in the room. I am dying of laughter.
Really?
Chopped into your funny bone, didn't you?
Yes.
But seriously, the body is the oven and the clock is the timer.
Ah, I get it. So when the time's up, the soul is ready to go into the belly of the afterlife.
Now you've got it.
Ah, nice. So you're saying that you're more or less the Pony Express of the Four Horsemen.
Watch it, pal. Look, if it weren't for me, souls would be doomed to be lost in the void forever, continually wandering through oblivion and decaying the way stardust does in a forgotten nebula.
Oh, so like a normal day in 2020.
Oh, it is not normal in 2020. There is nothing normal here. If you can believe it, I got an email from my kids' elementary school saying that full in-person classes are going to resume as normal on schedule starting the end of August.
Wait, hang on, back up. You have kids?
Sure. Why wouldn't I?
I don't know, it just seems kind of normal for such a supernatural being such as yourself. At least you can send your kid to school and not worry about the virus, right?
Oh, are you kidding? I am not sending my kid to school during a pandemic. My brother Pestilence ain't got nothing on the germ-spreading abilities of an average, snot-nosed second grader.
Oh, true. Like, opening schools is a bad idea.
Wouldn't be my choice.
Anyway, I'm guessing that many people's clocks are going straight into the gutter with the coronavirus and all the rest of 2020 going on.
Yes! It is driving me mad! I have been running all over the globe collecting lost souls whose time was cut short. First, you got my brother War. Maybe you heard of him? Well, he frightened me with this potential World War III in the beginning of the year. And thank goodness that didn't happen. Oh, how could you forget? Then Australia decided to have fires going on. And now, a pandemic. Oh, bravo, Pestilence. You really sealed the deal on that one. It doesn't stop there. No, sirree. The world decided that murder hornets were gonna be a thing. And, just to throw it in, meth gators, to make it interesting. Now, and I'm sure you're aware of this in America, but the police are just straight up murdering people. You think their job would be to protect the innocent, to make my life easier. But they don't do that. The motto is to protect and serve, not kill or be killed. Honestly, I don't know how you cope through this. And the doctors, I love the doctors so much, but they don't got the protective equipment to help them out, Xander. They don't have it. So while they are getting sick by treating sick patients, they are susceptible to dying. And if they die, then everyone dies. And then I have a really bad day. Honestly, it just feels like the world's falling apart. The world is out to get me. I've been hyperventilating this whole year, and I don't even have any legs. Death, get hold of yourself. The last time you fell apart, they couldn't find a clavicle for weeks.
Clavicle? You don't look like a skeleton to me. You seem like a regular, albeit incredibly sleep-deprived person to me.
Oh, this? It's all just an illusion. I may seem like a normal, handsome young man on the outside.
Normal's kind of a stretch, and handsome very much a stretch.
But I'm dead inside.
Oof, careful there, you might cut yourself on that edge, boy.
What? There's an edge? Where? Don't be playing any tricks on me, Xander. I have been hallucinating ever since I haven't been able to sleep, and I have seen some weird things.
Calm down, it's a joke, man. You can tell me, Smalls.
What? No, I'm not. Besides, you still have a... I'm not going to tell you that.
I still have what?
Oh, no. That would cause you a lot of psychological trauma. I am not going to reveal that secret to you. Get a hold of yourself, Death. You're doing this again.
Okay. Everything all right over there?
Yeah. Yes. I've just had no time to rest.
Well, you know how the song goes, there ain't no rest for the wicked.
Oh, I am not wicked, sir. Whoa, cool it. Okay, you think that I am wicked because I'm a horseman of the apocalypse? Because I'm death? You think that I get a sick kick out of scaring people the moment they die? No. I'm not some twisted individual. Imagine, I'm just floored. Imagine someone dying of a heart attack only to get another one right off the bat, and they don't even have the heart. At that point, it's a soul attack. And believe me, that hurts way worse, like 100 times worse. No, let's set the record straight, Xander. I do not fear the Reaper. I am only here to help.
Well, everybody, you heard it from Grimm himself. Don't be afraid of the cloaked figure with a scythe. Or I guess now the Demon Barber of Fleet Street right here.
Wait, was my attire off-putting?
Well, yeah. A Dementor with an oversized butter knife doesn't exactly send the message, hey man, you want to get a beer or something? No.
I was supposed to be a farmer. You know, harvesting souls the way peasants harvest crops. What can be more friendly than Farmer Brown? Honestly. And besides, you would say my wardrobe is more up to date.
No. Okay. First off, calling someone a peasant is a pretty serious microaggression. In any case, you might want to consider upgrading your personal style again. Even Pestilence knew to drop the whole plague doctor mask get-up and such. And now you're 2 for 2 on the creepiness factor, dude. Now you look like you've borne witness to your Elise's execution under the faint moonlight, and that ain't no ode to joy either.
I could wear a pink tutu and a little tiara riding a unicorn that shoots out rainbows, but it would not change the fact that people are terrified of the whole dying process, Xander.
It would be a little bit entertaining.
Don't try me, man. Transcendence is a very confusing time. People don't know what's going on, and it really scares them.
Oh, so it's like puberty, but on a more metaphysical level.
Huh. Yeah. Wow. You're kind of good at this.
Yeah, this fruit totally knows where his towel is.
So, because I have to herd so many people in one day at a time. I am so rushed, and I just have absolutely no chill when I do it. And if I'm suffering, oh, you better believe everyone else is suffering, buddy. Imagine the intense Willy Wonka boat ride scene with Gene Wilder, but even he's freaking out.
The danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing.
That actually sounds terrible and incredibly frightening. So you're living in hell without actually living in hell, which for us is just August in Central Texas. Seriously, 105 with the 85% humidity. Come on, what is that about? But, I suppose matters could be worse. We really dodged a bullet with that Neo asteroid just narrowly missing us the other day.
Oh, okay, about that. Oh, this is kind of embarrassing, actually. Like, that was supposed to be it. Like, like the end of life itself. But I pulled some strings, by begging and groveling excessively. But we're not going to worry about how it got done, okay? What matters is that you get more time to live, Yeah. And also through excessive pleading and being on my knees, I asked if they could please just not destroy the world in one instant with a rock. Because let's be real, Xander, we've all seen that before. It's such a cliche. The dinosaurs. And if you haven't seen Noah's Ark, then you have not seen Death Zeppelin, buddy, with all those dinosaurs. To this day, I have no clue how that monstrosity was able to lift off the ground under the weight of all the world dinosaurs. Okay. I was barely able to handle that monstrosity of a pandemic. And I'm not even prepared for the next one. I'm not prepared for the next doomsday. Oh, I'm losing my mind already. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Okay, reality check. I do not have the Eternal Express finished. It's still in the blueprint stage. Okay, what are you going to do? Sue me? And I know what you're thinking. Death. Come on. You're an eternal being here.
Dude,
sure, you have...
Hey, whoa. Okay, I get it. So you don't like pandemics. That's it.
No, of course I do not like pandemics, Xander. Every single one of them was awful. I have a serious issue with pestilence. All we ask of him, all we ask of that guy is just to bring a little bit, to prove that he exists and that disease is out there and he can kill him. And what does he do? Give it 200%.
Yeah, I had talked to him previously. He's kind of a nerd, and he seemed really, way too proud of this one.
Thank you!
Yeah,
God, someone gets it.
Imagine this whole, anti-mask, COVID is a hoax thing must be extra frustrating on your end of all this.
Yeah, and that's the real issue here. I was banking on people being careful and, avoiding a life-threatening plague. Don't let history repeat itself. But they're doing just the opposite. It's ludicrous. They're not taking science seriously. They're not taking their health seriously. And they are not taking me seriously.
Wow. Man, on a metaphysical
I don't know how you live here, Zan.
On a metaphysical level on your end, that's really gotta grate your cheese. I mean, not only are people just ignoring the facts and also death straight in their face, but then they are literally ignoring death. Damn, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, it hurt. So, while we're on the subject of the pandemic as a whole, really, just a little favor. Do you think your brother can do anything to help end all this real quick? Make it non-contagious or unable to mutate? We could just really use a little advantage here.
You're kidding me, right? This is pestilence we're talking about, Xander. We may be, okay, I'll give you this one. We may be the same age, but he has the mentality of a child. Specifically, a science kid fascinated with his little bitty volcano exploding. And speaking of which, did you hear those rumors that super volcano in Yellowstone might explode soon? I don't know about you, but I cannot handle another Pompeii. Ugh.
Well then, I guess the only thing we can do is stay healthy, wear masks, remain vigilant. Times might be bleak, but by putting aside our pride and taking the necessary precautions, we can and eventually will overcome this especially messed up episode of Black Mirror in which we learn.
Yes. Yes, Xander, preach it. Everyone listen to the man. Please make healthy choices. For your sake. And if you're going to protest for justice and equality, good job. That's a good thing to do. But if they tear gas you, get the hell out of there, because that's stuff that irritates your respiratory system. And it makes you highly susceptible to respiratory illnesses like, COVID-19. And if you're not going to physically protest, if you're not an essential worker, if you're not trying to pay next month's rent, then stay inside. Lake of the Ozarks, I am looking at you. I am tired. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I do not want to make any more new additions to my list. You're killing me. And I'm death.
Well, I feel like we all learned a lot today, but seriously, dudes, take better care of yourself. Get some rest. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
Thank you. That really means a lot, Xander. And it seems like my time is up, but I really just want to say thank you for giving me this time because, honestly, this is the first break I have had since New Year's. And
I'm glad I could help.
Yes. You know what they say? Every 80 seconds, an American dies of coronavirus. So I'm sure I have a few waiting for me already. So see you later. Or will I? Later, Gator. Or I guess now it'd be later, Meth Gator. Later, Meth Gator. Yeah, it doesn't really roll off the tongue as well.
Well, that was a thing. All right, Bridget, roll them.
Recorded in Round Rock, Texas, the #1 place to summer in place. It's the What's Update with Xander Quation.
It's the Summer in Place edition, dude.
All right, you listening? Grass grows, birds fly, sun shines, and brother, I hurt people. I'm a force of nature. If you was wrong, where I was wrong, you be...
Hey! Language. I know, Merle drag. Also, stupid, we're rolling.
Oh, right. Welcome to the What's Update. I'm Xander Quation. Let's get started. A British man who lost his penis to a blood infection has had a new one built on his arm. 45-year-old Malcolm McDonald's penis fell off due to an infection in his perineum. By the way, kids, perineum is the medical term for your taint. The more you know. Doctors have since built McDonald a new penis, even adding a couple extra inches, and grafted it to his forearm to grow. However, due to circumstances including the current pandemic, they have been unable to relocate the member to its proper pants position. I mean, I've heard of wearing your heart on your sleeve, but this is ridiculous. Also, when exactly are you supposed to do the circumcision? Huh? Anyone? Nah. Keep your windows up and watch out for chainsaw baboons. Workers at Knowsley Safari Park in Merseyside, England, have spotted chimpanzees armed with knives, screwdrivers, and even a chainsaw. It's unknown whether the primates obtained the tools by stealing them from vehicles, or may have received them from park guests looking to cause some mischief. My guess is, with the pandemic, they probably just ordered them from Amazon. Researchers discovered in a Central Texas cave unique geochemical signatures preserved in the striations of ancient sediment that explains the Earth's rapid cooling approximately 13,000 years ago. Volcanic eruptions, not extraterrestrial impacts, lowered the global temperature by about 3 degrees centigrade. Of course, you'll never convince my grandmother that it wasn't some kid leaving the door open to air condition the whole G-damn neighborhood. Researchers from Japan and America have successfully revived tiny microbes trapped dormant in a seemingly lifeless zone of the seabed for more than 100 million years. In response to those findings, the same researchers are now working on giant fighting robot technology, and they assure the public that the two things are completely unrelated. The voice actor for Adult Swim's cartoon series Squidbillies was fired for racist tweets, including some against country music legend and national treasure Dolly Parton. In his tweets, actor Stuart Daniel Baker, aka Unknown Hinson, also said, quote, "I'm sorry to hear that all you liberals' careers are going down the, let's just say, toilet. Better luck next time when you come back as a Republican." That's right, folks. Bacon wrapped deep-fried irony available now from Clan Catering. Run, Sparky, run. Lil' Kim is coming for you. North Korean dictator and member of Trump and Putin's Shoe Lift Club for Dictators, Kim Jong-un, has ordered pet dogs to be confiscated in the country's capital of Pyongyang. Kim says the puppies represent Western decadence, but their owners are worried that to Kim, they represent North Korean fast food. Dangogi for two? Speaking of ethnic food, one of Germany's best-known food companies will rename a popular sauce because of the racist connotations of its name. Nor will change the name of its Zigeuner sauce, or gypsy sauce, to paprika sauce Hungarian style. In related news, Keeping Up with the Kardashians will be renamed to Cumin Tramp's Armenian style, which is also the long-awaited sequel to Kim's 2007 sex tape. While we're on the subject of Germany, the US is moving forward with Donald Trump's plan to withdraw nearly 12,000 American troops from the country. This decision has drawn rare bipartisan congressional opposition and continues the administration's policy of alienating key allies who see the move as a blow to NATO, whereas the Trump administration is looking at this move as yet another way to blow Putin. After John Roberts sided with the High Court's Democratic appointees on cases involving LGBTQ+ workplace discrimination, immigration, and abortion, Vice President Mike Pence blasted the Chief Justice as a disappointment to conservatives. Now, okay, for the love of GB, whatever you do, do not Google Mike Pence blasts John Roberts. Your brain will thank me. Things you can't unsee. In a nearly 1,000-page report issued by Senate Republicans, U.S. intelligence says Republicans are working with Russia to re-elect Donald Trump. And, in related news, the sun is hot, rain is wet, and Aaron really needs a haircut. Former Department of Homeland Security Chief of Staff Miles Taylor told MSNBC that Donald Trump asked him and other officials whether the U.S. could swap Puerto Rico for Greenland because, in Trump's words, Puerto Rico was dirty and the people were poor. May we suggest instead that this November we swap Trump for Biden because Trump's ethics are dirty and his judgment is poor. At the Democratic National Convention, Michelle Obama spoke about Donald Trump's lack of empathy. She defined empathy as being able to walk in another person's shoes. Of course he can't do that. He could barely make it down a ramp in his own shoes. I think it's the lifts. The Tangerine Terror fired back in a series of predictably rambling and incoherent tweets. You know, I can understand why Trump is so troubled by the First Lady. She's everything he dreams of being. After all, she's tall, tan, fit, confident, and can drink water with one hand. Amazing. And speaking of more water that Trump can't handle, two large tropical storms are working their way towards the Gulf of Mexico, with both having the possibility of developing into hurricanes. If so, it would be the first time on record that the Gulf would experience two simultaneous hurricanes. Incidentally, two simultaneous hurricanes is also the title of my sex tape. That's right, 2 per episode. We're still thinking about changing that name, though. Stick around, we'll be right back. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil? It must give us pause. Or, if you're a 19-year-old college student riding a pay scooter at breakneck speeds on the drag, weaving in and out of traffic, narrowly avoiding being squashed by the Cat Metro Express, it's more like, screw y'all, I'm living forever! But here's the thing, we all die eventually. It's true. Wesley Snipes avoided taxes for a minute, but death will come for us all. True story, actually. I have a friend that said on her first day of college, her biology professor stands up in the front of a class of 300 plus students and declares in no uncertain terms that death is more natural than life. Boom. Chew on that, freshman. It's rough to hear that at any point in the day, But first class, bright and early, Monday morning, 8 a.m. is not exactly the "welcome to college, honey" that she was expecting. Thanatophobia is a form of anxiety characterized by a fear of one's own death or the process of dying. It's commonly referred to as death anxiety. It's a completely natural fear and can be triggered by everything from death by disease to death by grizzly bees. Sidebar, I've got grizzly bees on the center square of my Horrors of 2020 bingo card, just in time for Thanksgiving. Many aspects of human culture, philosophy, mythology, and religion revolve around the subject of death. We are, by nature, preoccupied with how our lives will eventually end. Depending on your culture's relationship with the awareness of one's own mortality, that will determine how you perceive death. Some cultures depict death as a monster, a dispassionate and unreasonable eldritch specter waiting in the wings to steal you away to an uncertain afterlife. Other cultures depict death as a feminine energy, not all that dissimilar to the same energy that creates life. Lady Death gently leads you to the next phase of your existence. She is a welcome friend, not an unwelcome fiend. And that brings us to 2020. Death has consistently been a top trending topic. In a normal year, even the most emo of depressives could take a break from their maudlin expositions to enjoy the occasional black licorice cupcake. But 2020 has changed all that. Turn on the news, listen to the radio, watch a YouTube video, read a paper. It's nothing but death, death, and more death. Pandemic-related suicides have already been reported in many of the hardest hit countries. The first known pandemic-related suicide occurred in Italy in March, when a patient suffering from bronchopneumonia jumped out of the hospital window where he was awaiting test results to see if he was infected. Since then, other COVID-driven suicides have been reported. The problem is especially prevalent among frontline health workers, people awaiting test results, and those affected by coronavirus-related bankruptcy. Depression, despair, and anxiety all compounded by a sneaking suspicion that your government isn't all that concerned with your longevity. For the bulk of human history, the folly of youth allows us to ignore the certainty of death. Without a healthy, youthful dismissal of mortality, the gears of society stop grinding. That's all changed. The pandemic has preschoolers contacting LegalZoom about estate planning and end-of-life instructions. Middle schoolers are embracing the certainty of Judgment Day with a columnist normally reserved for former smokers in their late 80s. Global ennui is on an all-time high. For more on the inevitability of oblivion, we join correspondents Daniel Aaron Bryant, Jaden Franklin, and Michaela Watson.
Hey, it's me, Xander, in the studio. Wait, where's everyone? Okay, their screens are on and it's working, but where are they? Am I late again? Yeah. No, it's on time. It's quiet. Too quiet. Maybe eerie quiet. Okay, hang on. Oh no! I'm dead. I'm dead, aren't I? I just now realized it. I never made past episode 8. Oh god, this is just like Sixth Sense. Curse you, M. Night Shyamalan! How could you do this to me?
Oh, hey Zan, how's it shaking?
Looks like he is. That boy's freaking out.
Hang on, guys. I got this. After nearly 10 years, you could say I'm a bit of a Xan freak-out expert. Xander, shake it off, man. You freaking out again?
Am I? The dead can't freak out. The dead can't do anything. The dead just linger. They sit around all day and rattle chains. Like, where do we even get chains? What are the chains for? What's the deal with all the chains?
I don't think it's working.
Xander, go to your happy place. Think of soft purring kittens and endless Torchy's tacos.
Everything has an end.
Okay, crew. It looks like we had a slight host malfunction, but everything's perfectly all right now. We're alive. We're all alive here now. Thank you. How are you?
Star Wars, Aaron? Really?
There's our guy. Welcome back to the land of the living, dude.
Leave it to Aaron to say something too silly for even a ghost to ignore.
Yeah, I'm truly disappointed. Wait, what? Hey, but I thought. I thought. Ew.
Hey, as much fun as it is to mess with Xander's head, don't we have a show to do?
Oh, don't rush him. He's been mostly dead all day.
Okay, so since we're talking about death, I guess the first question is, like, are you afraid of dying?
Not anymore. It used to tear me apart. Anytime I'd think about it or it came up in conversation, I'd freak out on the inside. Like, it felt like my heart was squeezing itself. And personally, I thought everybody felt until I was talking to my sister, and she said what I was feeling was anxiety. And it's not really the thought of death, but more that I'll just have to exist in a way that I know nothing about. But to deal with that, for about the past month and a half, except for the last week, I've started my mornings by looking into the mirror and saying, you're going to die one day. You don't know when, you don't know where, and hopefully you live to a ripe old age, but you're going to die one day. And that's okay. And it's really helped.
Well, sometimes I'm so afraid of dying that I'll start to shake in my sleep and get the cold sweats. But other times, I really wouldn't mind it. One reason I would be afraid is the fact that nobody truly knows what's going to happen to your soul when you pass away. Of course, I'd want to go to heaven, but I don't know 100% if that's true or if it exists. And if there isn't one place for my soul to go, or my consciousness to go for that matter, I'd be terrified because I just don't want to be in a black abyss when I close my eyes for the last time.
For me, it's kind of a yes and no situation because while I'm totally fine with, going to paradise after Earth, I don't want to just take it sitting down, I don't want to just let it happen gently and not have a retaliation of my own. I really feel like Dylan Thomas is do not go gentle into that good night, and I really just want to rage against the dying of the light.
Yeah, well, at this point for me, I don't know. It's not about the death that really scares me. It's just what happens to everything in the world after, like whether it's the show or my family or my show family. My main concern is what I'd leave behind if I were to suddenly drop dead. I think dying itself isn't too scary in the abstract. We've been dealing with it all year. I figured the way I'll die is in the sort of crap kind of moments where I had no control. It just came as a surprise and dead. Or, no control over it at all. It is what it is. I'm just afraid of how my death would affect the people I love. Well, that got deeper and more personal than I intended. Okay, next question. What way would you absolutely not want to die?
Well, I've had my fair share of near-death experiences. I've almost drowned. I've almost been hit by a car while on the street. I almost died in a car accident. And I almost lost the ability to breathe after inhaling too many dangerous particles and dust. So I'm no stranger to it. But the way I would not want to die is unfulfilled. Because sure, we could all go at any moment, at any time. But if you do not fulfill your heart's desire, if you don't reach your dreams and go where you ever wanted to go, then you ask yourself, why was I even here?
Well, for me, it's drowning. 100% drowning. As someone who's less of a swimmer and more of a floater, I don't think I would even stand a chance to try and fight it. And I hear it's one of the most painful and stressful ways to die, when personally, I'd rather go in my sleep.
I would absolutely hate it if I was just straight up mauled by a wild animal. I mean, just imagine a bear attacking you or just being ripped up by hyenas or cheetahs. I would absolutely hate that, especially if there's nobody around to help you. Like, what can you do? But yeah, I wouldn't want to experience a lot of pain, much like Michaela.
Yeah. I don't really have a particularly fearful way to die, but overall, I just don't want to die slowly, like slowly wasting away on life support or like bleeding out without anyone around to help me. It's like, sounds horrible. If I die, I want it to be quick and over with before I can fully react, like a truck or like me or whatever. Because, if it happens like that, well, A, there's damn little I can do about it, and B, it's over in a flash. Seems like the better way to go.
So switching gears from that, we're all living through a really weird time right now. It's not all that unlike the people that lived through the 1918 pandemic and the Great Depression. So do you think that the pandemic is going to change how young people think about death and disease?
I believe it's given young people a realization that no matter where you come from or who you are, you could very well be subject to something that could damage or alter your life. To a degree, the pandemic has made people somewhat equal, and it's also made us work together to accomplish a common goal. And that could be, in this case, it would be to limit the risk of getting infected by the virus via social distancing and also wearing a mask.
I kind of see it as a mixed bag because when this pandemic started, I was a very hopeful person. I thought that our generation was really going to take responsibility and prove to the older generations that we can do this, that we have worth, and we're the next group of people that's going to take care of the world. But over time, I've started to notice that people that I've known, some people that I've kind of known, showing that they actually don't care about taking care of other people or even their own safety. So I guess it's just like how that saying goes, that people don't believe that the sky is falling until a piece of it falls on them.
Yeah, it's really disappointing when you see people just deliberately flaunting the safety guidelines because they just feel like it. But I've seen some serious change in how young people approach the world in terms of agony and tragedy. After a certain point in 2020, it was less, no, what a tragedy, this is the worst thing in history. And then it was more like, stop, we're already dead. And I think that also compounded on every year since 2016. Like, remember when we all thought 2019 was the worst and couldn't wait for the new year? That did not work out well. But I've seen this a lot in the meme culture as of late, specifically in all the memes about the 2020 calendar based on apocalypse video games or disaster movies, stuff like that. Because overall, young people have just gotten fed up with death and disease and either fight against it in protests and online movements, or they just give up entirely because they're too tired.
I definitely think it's given young people a glimpse into how important it is to have competent leaders and lawmakers to deal with situations as big as this pandemic. And while it's terrible that we have to learn that the hard way, I'm glad that we're able to, see a need for change and hopefully work towards it in the future.
Yeah, the future feels pretty tenuous at this point. And I hope the lessons learned from the chaos of this year actually stick and we learn something from all of this.
Yeah, people seem to conveniently forget that past trauma when things start to level out.
People forget quickly after having a normal weekend.
I figure as long as there is somebody to remember you and tell your stories after you're gone, you never really die.
Well, at least we have each other.
Definitely. Dangler and Bryant, Jaden Franklin, and Michaela Watson, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are very excited about our guest today. He's one of my personal favorite artists, so let's start with the basics. Who you, what do?
Who you, what do? I, Ted Naifeh. I do comic bookies. I did a series called Courtney, Crumrin, and the Night Things, which is now in 7 volumes. And I've also done a series called Polly and the Pirates that people seem to like, and a series called Princess Ugg. Most recently, I did 2 superhero books. One was and they were both independent. One was fantasy superheroes books set in like an ancient fantasy city setting. And the other one was sort of like, I wanted to do kind of a semi-satirical all-girl team superhero book.
Interesting. And for all of what you do, why?
Well, I love stories, but I was never very academic. I was the kid that used to draw in class instead of do my homework. So I ended up developing as an artist instead of as a writer. But I found that I liked drawing as a means of telling stories, and I immediately became drawn to comics as soon as we had this big comic book revolution back in the mid '80s. With the Watchmen, the Dark Knight, the Swamp Thing, and Matt Wagner's Mage was a big influence, and etc. And so that became the means by which I wanted to express myself. And because I was otherwise unemployable, that became the only other thing the only thing I could make a living at.
All right. Is there anything you're working on right now that you'd like to tell our audience about, other than what you already mentioned?
Well, right now I'm working on 2 books. They're both basically a secret, except I'm going to tell you anyway.
Exclusive.
I mean, they have not really been officially announced, but I am working on a sequel series to Courtney Crumrin.
Oh, wow.
Called The Crumrin Chronicles. I'm penciling it now. It's all written. I'm very excited. I've got 5 volumes planned out already. And I'm also working on a series called Witch for Hire for Abrams. So I'm kind of, since my dipping a toe into superheroes didn't work, I kind of decided to go back to writing for tweens and young adults and writing kind of spooky, dark, gothic flavored stuff.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. So with comics like Death Jr., Gloom Cookie, and, well, my personal favorite, Courtney Crumrin, it definitely seems like you have a love of the gothic and the creepy. So who are your main influences for that artistic style?
Well, I mean, I was getting into the whole goth thing when it was really kind of hitting the mainstream in America in the late 80s. And so when Sandman came along and a kid that wasn't much older than me was drawing it, Mike Dringenberg, who was a genius, of course, I immediately was drawn to that book. I don't know if you've read issue 8 of Sandman.
I've
back
read
in the day.
some of it, but...
I own a page from that now, actually,
Wow.
which was pretty cool. And I just thought, well, I can't really draw, but I can do this. And I started trying to kind of getting that gothic aesthetic into my art. And then Mike Mignola came along with Gotham by Gaslight and really kind of brought this sort of old, I want to say, like that 60s hammer horror feel into, because he's an old school superhero artist, and so he was kind of has this 60s kind of Jack Kirby inspired aesthetic that he then folded into hammer horror, and that became what I consider now as the Mike Mignola style. And I started folding that into my work as well. Sorry?
And then you got the earlier works like with Hellboy.
Oh, well, no, this is actually Hellboy. This was before Hellboy. Gotham by Gaslight came out before Hellboy.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Gotham by Gaslight came out in, I want to say, 91 or 2. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But Hellboy came out in mid-90s. It was like once he had really made a name for himself with Gotham by Gaslight, and he did an issue of Tales of the Dark Knight, which is that's one of the best issues of Tales from the Dark Knight ever. He decided to, and then the Dark Horse wanted to form their own sort of Image Comics division called Legends, and he was one of the flagship people. Him and Chadwick was doing Concrete, and Frank Miller did something or other. But Hellboy was the one that really stood the test of time.
Right.
And became it sort of it just sort of lasted longer than the Legends imprint.
Right, so Mignola as a whole, alongside all the Sandman books, you would say are the main influences on your art style?
Looking back, I would say Dringenberg had a huge early impact, along with Dave McKeon, who was doing the covers of the Sandman books and would occasionally do a pen and ink comic book, and I would just slave over. I'd take his pen and ink books and just study that artwork incredibly closely and do my absolute best to sort of nail that style. I think his most famous pen and ink work was an issue of Hellblazer called Hold Me. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's the most stunning, weird, artsy comic book you've ever picked up. It's and Neil Gaiman wrote it. 24.
John Constantine, right?
John Constantine. Hellblazer was John Constantine.
Okay.
Only it's pronounced Tyne. I was corrected by Karen Berger herself, who heard it from Alan Moore, Constantine, because he's British and it's post-vowel shift.
Okay.
Fun facts.
Let's see if we can find some more people at the CW and let them know.
Yeah, I know. Nobody gets it right on the TV. Well, it's also like Ra's al Ghul. They don't pronounce Ra's al Ghul correctly in the movies because nobody actually consults the people who came up with the names. And the name, that's in Arabic, that's how you pronounce Raish.
Yeah, well, I know the Ra's al Ghul part. And like every time they say it as Ra's al Ghul, I'm like, that obviously can't be it. Just like common sense. Why would it be? Yeah. Why?
But that's a weird name anyway, because it literally translates into head of the demon, right? The demon's head.
Yeah.
You can't just shorten that to. It's sort of like calling El Mariachi El. Like his name is the. Really? But that became a thing. They call him Raish, which means head. But I guess that kind of works.
He's just just for y'all at home, the Batman antagonist is called Ra's al Ghul.
Mm-hmm.
PSA from What's Update.
I'm sorry, please don't follow me down the rabbit hole of weird tangential thoughts.
Okay, so getting off the tangent there.
So yes, those were my influences.
Yeah. So, Death Jr., one of the things that you did the art for, got adapted into a video game. I actually think it was a Game Boy game.
PSP.
Or I think, there was also a Game Boy game that I got at one point.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you.
Pretty sure I lost it though. Is there any chance for any sort of animated film or series adaptation or anything like that for Courtney Crumrin or any of your other works?
Well, I mean, Death Jr. Wasn't adapted into a game. It was being developed as a game, and in order to promote the game, they did a comic book adaptation, and were really pushing to do a movie adaptation, which would have been written by, screenplay by Gary Whitta, who's a very, very well-known screenwriter now, and had written the comic book. But it didn't quite make it as they were trying to sell it to Disney, but it didn't quite make it as a Disney property, which I think was a bad call on Disney's part, because Death Jr., genius.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it is. Courtney Crumrin has been optioned a few times. I'm sorry?
We actually still have the action figures from the series.
Oh, yeah, me too, of course.
I love that series.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But I didn't design. I mean, I designed some of the characters, but actually, no, I don't think I designed any of the characters. They were all the video game characters, and then they gave me the designs, and then I just did my own interpretations of them. The only character I kind of designed was Death, and I went really traditional because I wanted him to be unmistakably, unadornedly a Grim Reaper.
Actually, like one of my favorite character designs, or at least the best moments from the series, was I think it was something where Death was talking to his son, and then I don't remember the context, but the line was simply, "Son, there's two things in this world you can always count on: taxes, and your old man." And it's just the wholesomeness of that scene, and then just Death as a nice father figure, but he's still a Grim Reaper.
Well, that's Gary Whitta.
It was so wholesome. I loved it.
Yeah, good. He's a good character. Well, the whole premise of Death Jr. it's right there in the name. I mean, that's like a 2-word pitch that sells an endless number of franchises, and I envy it to death. I wish I owned Death Jr.
Well, when something's all in the title, to quote another channel, like breakfast burrito or non-advertiser friendly.
Exactly.
All in the title.
Yeah.
Hope they don't sue me over that one. So, if you weren't an artist and creator, what else could you see yourself doing?
Let's see. I would be, I think, one of those incredibly enthusiastic baristas that's really like just like like can you make me a cup? Can you make a cappuccino? Yeah, man, I can totally do that. That'd be awesome. Let's make that happen for you. I'd be into that. That would be cool. Professional video game player. I think I could do that because like it'd just be like having fun for fun and profit. I'm trying to think of what else. Lyft. I would drive Lyft.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still more employable.
I think that would make even a good comic of itself.
Yeah.
It's like Lyft driver by day, and then gothic horror/comedy comic book artist by night.
Sure.
Actually, that does.
Except for you don't have time when you're drawing comics. You don't have time for anything else.
All right, so like we usually end these on like a fun question. So I must ask, Death Battle, Uncle Al versus Rick Sanchez. Who would win and why?
Well, I mean, that's a tough question because I don't really believe in Rick Sanchez, but it depends on whose world he's in, right? In the Rick Sanchez world, and of course, that's the thing about Rick Sanchez, is that his world is all worlds, right?
Yeah.
So presumably, and he's of course the master of all worlds because that's the nature of that show.
I imagine he'd probably travel to the Courtney Crumrin universe, like have that as dimensional travel.
But I mean, every dimension, every parallel universe he travels in is essentially he is the master of that universe. That's the concept, right?
Yes.
Completely repugnant concept. It offends me. So, if Uncle Aloysius was a side character in a Rick and Morty episode, then yeah, absolutely, Rick Sanchez would destroy Uncle Aloysius.
Oh.
But if Rick Sanchez were to set foot into the Courtney Crumrin universe, he would just get eaten by Rawhead and Bloody Bones. The end. Like that's the end of Rick Sanchez. And I would retcon the world a little bit so that as he is eaten, all versions of Rick Sanchez in every universe, that is their end.
Oh man, that's
damn.
Sorry, eaten by a hobgoblin. The end.
That could have been darker than I thought it would be.
Right?
Feed him to Butterbug.
Ah, yes.
Oh yeah, feed him to the little one with the big tongue.
Yeah. I was like
Butterbug definitely make short work of him. Like before his legs are eaten, his head would already be pooped out.
Oh God. Again, I was just thinking like a nice alternate ending where Al and Rick would just be like, okay, so you're pretty powerful here. I'm pretty powerful in a lot of other places. You want to just get beer or something? And they just, I imagine they'd be friends.
Sure. I don't think Aloysius would have much truck with Rick Sanchez, though. I don't think that they would get along very well. Because Aloysius deep down is a compassionate soul, and Rick fundamentally is not.
Yeah.
I think Rick and Courtney might get along pretty well.
I can see that.
Okay, so we need to get on a crossover as soon as possible.
Working on it.
I mean, Rick and Morty does have a comic book, so hey, it's
I'll
possible.
call up Royland and Harmon tomorrow and make that.
If you know them and you want to give them our number, we can take that.
Oh, yeah, I'll get them on your show too. Absolutely, it'll happen. Yeah.
Okay, so possibilities of crossovers and guest voice acting. I think that's a good note to end this on. So, thank you very much for coming on our show, sir.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so we'll be right back. Thank you for watching the episode and for joining us for our first season. We've learned a lot and we made some friends. Aaron was reliably silly on cue, Michaela was gracious and beautiful, and Jaden was relaxed and cool, even when the world wasn't. We got a lot of new things planned for Season 2, and some really great guests lined up. We hope you join us. Yeah, don't be a bunch of silly mammals. Shut up, snake. Thank you again, and as always, it is what it is.